What's up, YouTube? So, I just want to kind of give y'all an update about my thoughts moving forward on the season. What I'm planning on doing, the direction I want to take my channel in right now for the rest of the season. I'm still going to be bringing you Dolphins content for sure, but I'm going to be honest. Until the Dolphins show me something, like they're trying to improve, there isn't really a point anymore in like scouting our opponent or trying to figure out what went wrong in the game, because it's the same shit each week. The offensive line is bad. Can't buy time. Some of the decision making from the quarterback play is a little bit amiss, but I think Tua played relatively well today. Defensively, missed assignments, missed tackles, people getting out of position. Not being able to get off the field on third down. Penalties across the board, offense, defense, and special teams. Matt Pilardi, our punter, I'm not really a big fan of him. I think his leg is honestly pretty weak, especially in comparison to a lot of the punters we've had over the years. And honestly, there's only so many times I can keep saying the same shit. Oh, our whole offensive line is ass. There's only so many times I can say that each week. Like, y'all get it. I mean, I'm still going to do film sessions, like breaking down certain things. But instead of looking at the team as a whole and addressing what went wrong with the team as a whole, at this point, I'm more wanting to focus on either individual players or individual position groups that spark interest. And particularly with younger players. Some of the offensive linemen I really want to look at. If the All-22s come out on time, then I want to look at people like Javon Holland and some of our other rookies, people like Jalen Phillips, stuff like that. Some of the people that we are hoping to develop. Because at this point, unless the Dolphins really fix a lot of their shit and come out and smack Atlanta in the mouth, like we have to, I want a shutout. Like, we got to destroy them. Unless we do that, our season's done. I'm just going to be frank with you. It just is what it is. Because I can scout our opponent all I want, but we're not able to attack the flaws that are there. Jacksonville had all the flaws in the world. Their receiving core sucks. Marvin Jones is not that good of a player. He's a decent player. He's a solid number 2 receiver. But he was out there mossing dudes. I realize that we didn't have Byron and X. I understand that. But even still, the big thing is us playing so undisciplined week in, week out. The offensive line, that part's on Chris Greer for not giving us the personnel and not getting us the offensive linemen that we desperately needed and drafting the wrong ones when we did draft them. But this coaching staff is responsible too. Offensive play calling has been better the last 2 weeks, I will say. We're finally starting to throw it downfield a little bit. But last year, we were bringing in the Wildcat. Like, we were getting creative on offense. And defense too. Like, we were moving guys around more. We were, disguising our blitzes more. And just trying to confuse the quarterback. We aren't doing that as much anymore. Which means we're not getting pass rush. And if we're not getting pass rush, then as good as even Byron and X are, if we're in man coverage the whole time, all game long, and we're not getting pass rush, people are going to get open. Byron and X are good enough to lock up their guys all day long, but the other guys aren't. Like, Nick Needham's not a bad player, but you can't expect every single snap for him to keep people locked down the entire game with no pass rush. Justin Coleman, same thing. Noah Igbenogany, same thing. Holland, Jerome Baker. None of these guys can be trusted one-on-one man coverage to be locking people down for 6-7 seconds because we're not getting pass rush, because we're being predictable. we're putting 5 linemen down. We're doing standard either 3-4 or 5-2 sets. And we're just rushing like that. We're not really disguising much. We're not shifting guys around as much as we were last year. Because, let's be honest, most of the personnel we had last year is here now. We're missing a couple pieces. We're missing Kyle Van Noy. We're missing Shaq Lawson, which those are 2 big losses. I think we are missing Van Noy especially. But I don't think we're that far off with personnel. I really don't. We're just not helping them with the schemes. And last year, I mean, I had my complaints about Jerome Baker and Landon Roberts for their tackle angles and their ability to read their keys and process the field correctly. I had my gripes about them there. But that seems to have spread throughout the team. Like, everybody looks so undisciplined. Like, I don't know what it is. And, like, Javon Holland, that's kind of who he is. He makes mistakes like that. He's getting his head a little bit lower. That's just Javon Holland. But that is what that is. But I can't even point to just him because the entire defense is playing that same way. The penalties are nonstop. Like, on offense and defense, we'll get a stop. We'll get a drive going on offense or whatever the case may be, and we'll shoot ourselves in the foot so many times. And if it's not a penalty, we're shooting ourselves in the foot some other way. With like a missed assignment where someone gets open when they shouldn't have, or someone's dropping a football, or some bullshit. And that's on special teams too. Like, yeah, we got rid of Jakeem Grant, but Jalen Waddle's put the ball on the ground quite a few times too. Same thing with Albert Wilson. Preston Williams as well. Not on return, obviously, but still. So, I don't know. Like I said, some of these problems we can't address now. Like the offensive line, there's only so much we can do when all of our guys are just bad. There's only so much the coaching staff can do there. But the penalties, the missed assignments, the missed tackling, that's straight up discipline, and that is something that the coaching staff should be able to address at least a little. Now, I won't put it completely on the coaching staff because at the end of the day, regardless of what the coaches are telling you, by the time you get to the NFL as a defensive player, you should know how to tackle. Like, that just is what it is. An NFL coach should not be teaching you how to tackle properly. That shouldn't be his job. You should have learned that at some point in your career. And a lot of these guys were tackling better last year, so I know they're capable. Like Christian Wilkins, he was very capable of being a good run stopper last year. I don't know, he just fell off a cliff this year. The only complaint with him is he was a first-round pick, and we were wanting more pass rush from him. But he's pretty good in the run game. But he's not even getting us that anymore. He's eating up blocks, sure, but there are times where he's running free, and he's just missing tackles. And again, I don't mean to just call out him because it's everybody. Agba's played well. I'll give Agba and Sealer the credit. They've performed well. But for the most part, this defense, it's so undisciplined. And we came into this season knowing our offense was probably going to be pretty bad. If you were really following the Dolphins, at least I was expecting our offense to be better than last year, but I expected it to still be pretty bad. I thought our receivers that we got would help a little bit, but I expected us to not really be able to run the football consistently, similar to last year because our offensive line is bad and our running backs are honestly average to mediocre. So I knew running the football wasn't going to be a thing, and I knew pass rush was going to be a problem. So we knew that we were only going to go as far as our defense could carry us. But then we find out that our defense is terrible too. They looked okay against New England. They looked okay in the beginning of the game against Buffalo. But it feels like the defense has just given up. But I can't even say that because if you watched my streams while we were watching the preseason games, a lot of these problems existed then too. With us not tackling right and us giving up easy runs up the gut. Like, this is something that we've seen in preseason, and it hasn't been addressed. We're several months in now. We're almost at the halfway point in the season. We're about to be going into week 7. And we're still facing the same problems we've seen week 1 of preseason. And again, you can't really do too much to address personnel at this point. But basic little coaching tweaks, that's not happening this year. If you look at last year, the first 2 games against Baltimore and Buffalo, we got annihilated. It was Baltimore, right? I know Buffalo was the second game. Dolphins 2020 schedule. Sorry, it was the Patriots. But the same thing goes. We weren't getting pass rush. That's probably why I was thinking Baltimore, because the year before Baltimore destroyed us week 1 because Lamar Jackson ran all over us, but then we let Cam do it last year. I remember now. But our defense in the first 2 weeks last year, we were running basic defensive line sets. We were doing basic 4-3, basic 3-4 things, and we weren't really getting pass rush that way. But then week 3. Right, I'm pretty sure it was week 3 that we played Jacksonville, right? Yep, week 3 on Thursday Night Football. Week 3 on Thursday Night Football, we played the Jacksonville Jaguars, just like we just did today and lost. But last year, we came out after losing really bad to New England and Buffalo, and we came out and kicked Jacksonville in the teeth. And we did that by disguising our blitzes and confusing the fuck out of Gardner Minshew and forcing him into making bad decisions and to put our offense in good positions. We're not doing that now. Xavier Howard has made his plays. We've gotten some turnovers. We've gotten some sacks, but nothing consistent. We have no consistent pass rush like we did last year. We were one of the top teams in the league last year on third down. We're bottom of the league. We are the worst defense in the NFL on third down. And why? Because of missed assignments and missed tackles and penalties. That's the majority of the reasons. And you can't tell me that our personnel has changed so much that should be an okay thing. We lost some pieces, sure. But not to this extent. I don't know the solution. I don't. I don't know if someone else needs to be calling the plays on defense. I think that'd be a good start. Maybe they need to look into what kind of game plan they're making on defense. I don't know. But that shit's got to be addressed right the fuck now. We got to come in and smack Atlanta in the mouth at nothing else but for our own pride. And if I was talking about any other team, I would almost talk about tanking at this point. But the problem is tanking isn't even a viable strategy for the Dolphins. Why? Because we can't draft. The last 2 years, the Miami Dolphins have had all of the draft picks, practically. We basically had the capital to own the draft for the last 2 years. And we've done nothing with it. We miss on most of our picks because we can't draft. It's just a sad reality. Now, I do think Raekwon Davis last year was a good pick. I think Jalen Phillips was a good pick. I like Waddle. I would have preferred Slater, but I like Waddle as a player. But for the most part, our picks are awful. We draft players we don't need, at positions we don't need, and it seems like we can't truly evaluate talent, especially on the offensive line. That's on Chris Greer. But I think this coaching staff has a lot of problems too. And I like Brian Flores. I like his leadership. I like the way he addresses the team and addresses problems. I do. Well, at least I did last year. So far, we haven't seen those real changes. We've seen them at least try to move some people around on the offensive line to address that problem. But we really haven't seen much for him to try to fix this defense. We haven't. So, Anyway, sorry about the rant. I just kind of wanted to get this off my chest. I'm pretty frustrated, if you can't tell. I didn't want to just start cussing people out at the end of the stream. That's why I cut it off when I did. I wanted some time to compose myself and collect my thoughts together, and kind of bring it to y'all, and kind of fill you in with what I'm planning on doing. I also am thinking about mixing in some like rookie film sessions here and there from other teams. I'm playing around with maybe the idea. Again, this all depends on if the All-22s drop when they're supposed to. I'm thinking about doing a film session of Rashawn Slater against Baltimore this past weekend. Actually, well, I guess today. He was up against Jason Owe. Obviously, the Chargers lost pretty bad. But I'm just kind of curious to see what he's looking like. Because I've seen him in passing and stuff, just watching the game, but I kind of want to like get into the film. So I'm thinking about doing stuff like that. I might start looking at some of the rookie quarterbacks and stuff like that, just out of curiosity. It won't like take over the channel or nothing like that, but just a couple here sprinkled here and there, just to kind of add some variety. Because last year when we were winning games, my channel was doing a lot better. But for whatever reason, people aren't watching the film sessions as much this year. It's just a fact. So I'm gonna change some things up a little bit. And I'm really frustrated. And there's only so many times I can address the same problems. So, like I said, I'm probably going to have more focused film sessions moving forward this year. And I'm going to sprinkle in some other stuff too. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.